Thank you, everybody. I am actually here today to share a story of unity and commitment, of synergy and service, of what common ordinary people can do with limited resources despite of great difficulties. It's about the making of Swaminarayan Akshardham. It's about the story, how it was done by common people. As you know, Akshardham is a 100-acre cultural complex of Hindu art, architecture and heritage. It is actually a complex, both spiritual and educational. The main mandir is made up of 300,000 intricately carved stone which are assembled like a giant 3D jigsaw puzzle. It is also made up, total structure is made up of only stones. There is no structural steel or no material which actually corrodes. So it is meant to last for thousands of years, like pyramids of Egypt or temples of Angkor Wat. It also has many educational elements. For example, it has got an IMAX-like giant screen film on a journey through India. It has got many audio animatronics dioramas that depict universal values. It has got a very interesting boat ride, a 14-minute boat ride where you sail on River Sindhu and learn about India's history and heritage. Very nice musical fountain which is on Vedic theme. And finally, the Bharat Upvan with sculptures of India's great luminaries. But that was a very short, quick introduction. Actually, it's a huge mammoth complex. And all the experts, whoever saw our plans and our ambitions, they said that it would take minimum 40 to 50 years to build it. So how could it be completed in just 5 years with limited human and financial resources? Well, I don't have much time here, so what I will try to do is tell you 4 stories and hope to answer the question through these 4 stories. Story number 1. When we started making this Akshardham and when we actually calculated that if we want to complete the whole complex in 5 years, which consists of 850,000 cubic feet of massive stone work, we needed 7,000 artisans. And as we searched whole of Rajasthan, whole of Orissa, all we could get was only 1,000 artisans. And that would mean 35 years of stone carving. That was a big roadblock, or maybe I should say stone block, as soon as we started making Akshardham. So we were on the verge of accepting that, okay, it would take 35 to 40 years, but at that time our leader, our Guru Pramukh Swami Maharaj, he gave a very humble, simple suggestion. He said, can't we teach 6,000 more people to become artisans? We said, what? Like, how can you teach an art overnight to anybody? But he said that maybe we can try with those people whose fathers and forefathers are stone craftsmen. They might pick up the art fast because it's in their family. And we said, okay, let's try. So we again went back to Rajasthan, Orissa and all different places. And fortunately, we had 6,000 more people who were ready to learn art. They were actually laborers working in farms. They had in their ancestry the stone art, but it was dormant. So what we did was we immediately we engaged some of our main stone artisans to teach and transmit art of stone carving to these 6,000 people. So actually, in creating Akshardham, we created a stone carving university in Rajasthan with 26 branch because we had 26 sites where stone carving was happening. So there was a transmission, teaching of art. And in a couple of years, we had 6,000 graduates, stone artisans, who were ready to carve for us. It was like 100% employment for them. And in this process, as soon as they were ready, the whole situation was like a win-win-win situation for everyone. It was of course winning for us because we had 7,000 artisans needed for our job. It was winning for our nation and the world of art, because by generating 6,000 more artisans, we actually revived this traditional art of stone carving, which is on decline. And it was definitely winning for those laborers turned into artisans, because it really empowered them both skill-wise and financially. As laborers, they were earning only 1,200 to 1,500 rupees a month, whereas an artisan, they are earning 9 to 10,000 rupees a month. We also took care of the whole family and not just the artisans. We trained their wives to polish stones. So even their womanhood, they were working, polishing the stones. We also helped their children for education, and one of the biggest things we realized that they are really wasting money in lots of addictions. So we had de-addiction programs, and we tried to make them free of the tobacco chewing and smoking and gambling and drinking and so many things. So for us, they were not just employees or stone artisans, they were like part of our family. Actually, as they sculpted stone for us, we tried to sculpt life for them. Pramukh Swami Maharaj, who actually gave this suggestion of generating 6,000 more artisans, he was eager to meet all of them. And we repeatedly kept on refusing because of his health, but still he did go to all those 26 dusty hot sites of Rajasthan at the age of 83. He went from village to village, from artisan to artisan, meeting, greeting, thanking each of 7,000 artisans. He actually showered flower petals on their heads. And these artisans, they were really in tears. They said, Swami, all our lives we have been carving murtis. And people put flower on the murtis that we make, but nobody really cares about us. And you are the first one who has put flowers on heads of artisans even before putting flowers on the murtis. They were really emotionally touched. And that is the kind of genuine gratitude he showed towards the all grassroots level workers. That's how the whole university, whole artisans that was created, and we finally had, as soon as we spread the knowledge of artisans, it was like a winning situation for everybody. My second story is about pragmatic thinking and small process innovations. See, most of our projects, whether it is a spiritual and cultural project like Akshardham, or whether they are humanitarian projects like building schools and hospitals, the funding comes from economically lower and middle class families. It comes from those individuals, and they donate 2 to 10% of their income towards the causes they cherish. So we are really very much aware of their sacrifice, and so very much conscious about spending and utilizing money to its maximum capacity, which really leads to process innovations. Now in any stone structure, as soon as you start buying the stone, around 30 to 40% stone is wasted because you have to chip off what is not required. And just imagine, per rupee we are wasting 40 paisa. So we thought that we have to discover some innovative ways to save this money. So what we did was, firstly we created, and these are huge elephants, these are like elephants almost 10 feet tall, solid stone elephants finally, but these are plaster of Paris models. So we created plaster of Paris and clay models for the stones to be carved. Now what it helped us, so that we could figure out exact shape and size of the stone, and also artistically we could see it in 3-dimensional, so whatever the corrections we had to do, we could do it here. Because on paper you can't really visualize that what it will look finally. So we did this for all 300,000 stones. We computerized the data, and so we had a massive computer program which had data of shape, size, exact size of each of the stone required. Then as the stone started coming from the quarries, for each stone block, we actually, based on its size, through computers, we found out that out of this stone, how many different stones should be chipped off so that we can utilize the maximum of the stone and minimize the wastage. So from this, it was like different, these are different stone numbers. So see, normally what happens that whole stone block goes to artisan for, elephant carving. Instead of that, we knew that elephant, that is the upper part, is the trunk of the elephant. We remained the slabs, and the remaining stones, they were used for smaller designs. Similarly, afterwards, that was done on computers. We used giant drilling machines and stone cutting machines. So the stone cutting was done very fast. It was cut into different pieces. And in this process, we actually minimized the stone wastage from 40% to 8%. Almost 1/5 stone wastage was done. We still took it further down. Now this is using like big stone cutting machines. Now we drew designs on the stones. And even with these designs, now we use smaller stone cutting machines with precision. So we would make it ready, almost ready for artisan to start the finishing on the stone. So when artisan got a stone to work on, almost 50% of his work was already done by machines and by planning and designing. Just to give you an example, for a huge elephant like this, the original stone block would be around 5 to 6 tons of block. And to get it to this basic shape and design, it just chipping off would take around 20 days, which we finished in 1 day. And that chipping off would waste around 4 to 5 tons of stone that we saved to almost 1 ton. So we saved money, we saved time. There was another interesting process of monitoring, because it is very difficult in the work of art, and there are so many presentations on art. It is very difficult to monitor the progress of art. Because when you go onto the site, that stone artisan is just chipping tick, 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 and at the end of the day you say, okay, so how much of work is done and how much is left? All he says is, ki saab ho jayega, aap chinta mat karo. And you don't know how much he has done. Even he perhaps doesn't know. He just keeps on doing this chip, chip, chip. So what we did was, for each of the 300,000 stones, we divided the stone carving and design into such smaller pieces of few inches. And we put it on paper. We gave it to the artisan as his daily target. And at the end of the day, we would note down how much of work is done. So this monitoring helped tremendously on budget-wise and also time-wise. But more advantage that we got was from the artisans. Because suddenly we realized that their productivity and perfection has increased because of the tangible targets given to them. So they were even more conscious about doing it exactly as it was given. Just to give you an example, these are the outer walls of Akshardham, which required 12,000 stones to be carved, and when the task was completed, only 9-inch stone was carved incorrectly, remaining all, it was perfect. There was no problem in carving. Now as the stones were carved, small pieces were carved, because of the computerization, they were arranged as per their numbers, and then they were assembled and interlocked with each other on floor. Actually, this is a ceiling in Akshardham, but we interlocked them with each other on floor. We tested them for interlocking, did all the corrections there. Otherwise, you have to go up to the ceiling and do corrections. So there again, we saved the redoing cost. So in this fashion, with really small practical process innovations, Akshardham was completed in just 5 years. And what is most interesting is that most of these suggestions had come from sadhus, volunteers and artisans working at grassroots level. It was like a kaizen of many small process innovations. And interestingly, more than 90% of these grassroots level workers, they do not have relevant formal education or even professional experience. So these were kind of common ordinary people who came up with so many suggestions, and then this was done. Well, the time is really short, so I just want to end with a story about making of Akshardham. Actually, when Dr. V. Subramaniam, he came to visit us and he saw Akshardham, he was really overwhelmed and he asked Swami that, Swami, you have done wonderful projects, even Akshardham is wonderful. So I'm really curious, what is your next project? He expected something bigger and better, but Swami said that, Sahib, our only project is bhajan, bhakti and prarthana. Prayers to remain peaceful ourselves and prayers to help others remain peaceful. Akshardham is our side project. It's a byproduct. It keeps on happening as part of our main project. So Akshardham has not been made to make any statement. It has been really made to make people, to help them to make themselves. As soon as you enter the exhibition of Akshardham, you see a very rough cut carved stone, and you see only little bit of face, little bit of hand, and a man is carving himself. And the message is, you are the stone, you are the chisel, and you are the sculptor. You can make yourself. And that is the greatest masterpiece of all. Thank you very much.